could consume, I think it was like a maximum of 30 grams of fat a day, which meant avocados were really bad, but I could eat a whole bag of Haribos because there's 0 fat in them. The Dukan diet, to be fair, that was alright. It was pretty good, but I wasn't really able to eat much sugar, fruits on that, because we're way too high in sugar. And I fed myself full of processed food. I was literally eating, Olivia will remember this, and I used to just eat packets of wafers and ham and processed sausage. How was that healthy? Yeah, and with all these diets, I lost a few pounds. I was interested in what I saw in the mirror at the time. We've all been there, okay? But I knew at the time I wasn't being healthy and that this would not last long term. This is not sustainable. But, I was fixated on that goal. And once I really learned how to fuel my body in the proper way and how your body can feel when you fuel it in the right way, that's when things really, really changed. So I educated myself as well at that point. And what happens in our bodies when we've been through this long cycle of diets, calorie restrictions and things, our basal metabolic rate changes. So our metabolic rate drops, and so we can't burn off the same amount of food. So it gets used to burning at lower calories. So then, if you want to lose more weight, you need to keep lowering. That is not sustainable. You can't keep lowering. You get no nutrition, you get really unwell. But then when you start eating again normally, that's when you pile on the pounds, you start feeling rubbish because your metabolic rate has dropped and you can't keep up. So yeah, that's where the yo-yo diets need to stop. Now, I'm going to take you back on my journey to 6 years ago, when I just had my youngest daughter at 39. So I wanted to lose some of those baby pounds. I piled a bit on in pregnancy. I was feeling exhausted and just ugh. And so that's when I first decided to embark on Arnold's 30 Days to Healthy Living plan, which I know loads of you in here have done that plan. Now, the nutrition, the 30 Days to Healthy Living plan was one of the reasons I actually decided to partner with Arnold at the beginning, because I was just wowed by what it was all about. But being pregnant, when I first started, I didn't fully do it properly. So the time came when my little one was a few months old, I was like, right, I'm going to do this. And my goodness, that's when things really, really did change for me. Because yes, at the end of that 30 days, I had lost a bit of extra baby weight, lost that bloat, but what actually blew me away was the amount of energy I had. And I was a new mum, a geriatric mum, I hasten to add, that's what I've been classed as, over the age of 36, I think it is. I had all this energy. I wasn't getting much sleep, but I was bounding around, my skin was glowing differently, the bloat had gone, and I had more mental clarity. Joint aches and pains that I'd started to get during pregnancy had just gone, and my headaches lessened. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And that's when I went on a journey of really learning about gut health and the importance for it, but it has on your whole body, every system, like Gail spoke about earlier. So, once I really understood what was going in my body, that's when habits started to stick. Because when you know, and you learn how you can feel, then you want to keep going. And those habits become more and more and more sustainable over time. And fast forward 6 years, I still follow most of those habits now. And don't get me wrong, I love a glass of Prosecco and a pizza. There will be lots of Prosecco drunk tonight, I think. I love chocolate and crisps, and I still have those things, but in moderation. And probably live my life now on what we call an 80-20 basis, where I'm eating healthy 80% of the time, fueling my body with all the right foods, none of the processed wafers and ham that I was eating before, lots of fresh fruits and veg, and I allow myself to have a splurge whenever I will feel like it. So I'm 45 now, and at the age of 42, so I have been following the kind of gut health principles for a few years, was eating pretty healthy, but at the age of 42, I began to start noticing a few hormonal changes. I was beginning to have a few hot flushes, my hair started to thin, I was gaining hair on my face. Like, how unfair is that, ladies? Like, you lose hair on her head and it suddenly starts to yeah, I noticed my body shape. That was the other thing as well. My body shape really started to change. And having been someone that had always had a fairly hourglass figure, my waist started to square off. And I was looking at myself in the mirror thinking, who's that? That doesn't look like me. And I know a lot of women that have been through that or maybe going through that stage of life now will relate. So, what did I do? I started focusing more, again, on the principles that we teach in our plans. And as Nina just spoke about, I really started focusing more on managing my mind, some of the woo-woo stuff. Because the more that you can change those pathways and the way you speak to yourself, the better you're going to feel inside. Now, I noticed that the majority of people in this room are women. There always is at these events, but I'm not going to leave the men out here. There's people of all ages, 18-year-olds, all the way up to people in their 70s, which is amazing. But whether you're a man or a woman, whatever age you are, you will have had some issues at some point in your life, hormone-related. Whether that is changes through puberty, whether that is a mood dip before your period, those cravings for food the week before your period comes. You might have a condition like endometriosis or PCOS. You may be perimenopausal like me. You may be postmenopausal. You might have thyroid issues or diabetes or other hormone conditions, because there are lots of different conditions that you can have. And often we talk about hormones and everyone thinks of the sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, because, you know, they're kind of the most prominent and well talked about now, which is great. But there are actually around about 50 hormones in our body, and they all have a part, they interact. And when there is an imbalance in the hormones, whatever that may be, you're going to have a multitude of symptoms. So who in the room has suffered with weight gain, weight loss, hot flushes, or sometimes it can actually be influenced with the cold, not being able to get used to the cold, just always feeling freezing cold, thinning of your hair growth elsewhere, like I talked about, changes with your skin, and that can be like breakouts, acne, or it can be dry skin. At the moment, I've always had quite oily skin, suddenly starting to get these dry patches. I'm like, what's that about? Things change all the time. And then there's the brain fog. That can be quite bad sometimes. This can sometimes be so severe you feel like you're losing your memory. You can get excessively tired and emotional, and sometimes really anxious or even depressed. So how many of you in the room have felt that? So, come on, like surely everyone's hands going at some point in your life. So what, you know, and once you don't usually just get one symptom, you can often get a few at the same time. If you're lucky, you get all of them. Yay! So what did I do when these symptoms really started cranking up? Like I said, I was already eating healthily. I was really aware of the importance of looking after my gut and the impact that would have on my hormones, and also the way I looked and felt. So I decided to really up my nutrition, being more consistent, using more regular supplements, changing the way I exercise, doing less in the way of like really big cardio workouts and more kind of resistance training and walking outside. I was listening to my body more. And yeah, working on my mindset. And I was able to improve the way I felt. My hot flushes began to reduce, and I started to feel more vibrant again. The health of our gut has a huge impact on the balance of our hormones within our body, and every hormone, but particularly estrogen, thyroid, cortisol, serotonin, and dopamine. So Gail spoke earlier about how our gut and brain are really closely linked. The endocrine, or the hormonal system, is also really tied in with this, and they kind of work in this big cycle, all multi-directional really. So your brain is talking to your gut's talking to your brain, hormones are talking to your brain, your brain's talking to your hormones, and gut. It goes round and round and round and round and round. So there's actually a whole part of your gut microbiome called the estrabolome, one of my favourite words, which is really responsible for the breakdown and excretion of estrogen. So when your gut health isn't working optimally, that can actually have an effect on how well balanced your estrogen levels are. We know that 95% of our serotonin, which is our healthy happy hormone, is actually made within the gut, and up to 60% of dopamine, which is our calming hormone. So if you're not looking after your gut microbiome, it's not working in tip-top order, then there can easily be a balance in any of these hormone systems. Now, if you've already got some sort of hormone imbalance going on, that's going to cause an impact on your symptoms as well through communication with the brain, and then you're getting a double whammy. So you've got hormonal symptoms, you've got poor gut health, double whammy. So, and then you add stress into the mix, rise in cortisol levels, and you have a completely dysregulated nervous system, which Gail again touched on earlier. So our body goes into this sympathetic overdrive or constant fight and flight. So you can see why sometimes around changes in the life, particularly kind of menopause, anxiety can really take over. Now there's so much to say on this topic. It's really quite complex, and actually the more I learn about it, the more confused I get, the more wild I get, but you know, it's confusing, and there's more and more research going on all the time. But it's just really having an awareness how much the gut and the brain and the hormones can all impact one another. So really promote the diversity in your microbiome by doing all the things that Gail and Nina have spoken about. Really look after your mindset, decrease your stress, improve your sleep, and all of those things can help to regulate your nervous system. In January of this year, I personally realised the impact of this massively as I hit burnout. Being a type A personality, highly driven, managing loads and loads of stress in my life, juggling kids, work, and the perimenopause, my body just went, enough. And I really had to take a step back. So January and February for me was all about giving time to me, loads of self-care, grounding myself more, doing more of the woo-woo stuff, focusing on my nutrition, still getting out and doing walks, but learning to sleep if my body needed it. Whereas before I was like, keep going, come on, you can do this. Superwoman, you can get through anything. But sometimes your body just needs a rest, and I'm getting better and better at learning to listen to my body. So, things like as well, just going out with loved ones, having loads of cuddles, having fun with friends, meditating more, eating more fermented foods in your diet, all of these can have a massive, massive help. I'm also going to add that I did also start HRT because, I'm transparent here. I will, not going to hide different things. So the thing about all of this is about having as many tools in your toolbox as you can possibly have. And by learning all these tools, when you're really fit and healthy, when your body goes through a change, or there's extra stress added, you can drag on all those tools to get you through it. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned from Arbor in this community. I have learned so much from being part of this brand, and that I love sharing with other people. I share it with my patients, all these little things that you can do. No supplements or nutrition plan or anything is going to cure any of your diseases. It's not going to completely replace your hormones, but these things alongside everything you can do is what promotes really good health and longevity. So what making changes in your lifestyle can do is help your natural bodily processes work more efficiently, help balance your nervous system, optimise your gut health, which is going to give you more energy, less bloating, glowing skin, better overall health and well-being. Through optimising your gut health, working on your mindset, decreasing stress and creating those healthy habits, and being part of an amazing, inclusive community who support and encourage you, health, happiness and confidence can become part of you. And Arbor encompasses all of this, which is why I'm such a proud ambassador for the brand. I know that there's going to be many of you in the room that will relate with some of the things that I've shared. And I hope it's just given you a bit of an idea and hope that you too can take control of your own health and well-being. We all have our own stories, and I love just hearing how other people have used health, wellness, lifestyle changes, mindset changes to improve their own health and happiness. Through the journey that I've been on in supporting other women, I'm passionate about helping people live their healthiest, happiest, most confident and calm life that you possibly can. Yeah, and this community that you're surrounded with is a big, huge part of that. So I hope what I've shared today has given you a bit